You are a chocolate mousse in a cup, and I am very hungry. And I'm going to tell you that Bitcoin has experienced the longest period of negative year-on-year returns. This has been the worst bear market by far when you look at it like that. A lot of people have asked me, why do I think Bitcoin has had the worst bear market when its retracement from the top wasn't too bad? It was only 77%. We saw in that previous one, it went minus 85%. And then before that, like 86, and before that, 94. Why would I say it's worse now when we have more conviction, when we have Michael Saylor, Elon Musk knows about it, and everybody else? And the answer is unfortunately a bit tongue-in-cheek. It's because we know the future. What do I mean by that? Well, if you go back to the pain. So what I look at, friends, what's pain? Okay. You know, they say pain can teach you, pain is useful. Yes, it can only be beneficial if you got something out of it. I don't like measuring markets going down and then saying, well, at least you learned something. I don't like that. I give that zero value, near zero. But if a market goes down and then I see in the future it went up 100x, I say, well, you know what? It wasn't so bad after all, was it? But you don't know during that time. There is nothing to tell you whether the market is good or bad during that time. Nothing. You're going off blind faith. So basically, you know, there's risk, right? There's risk, and then there's reward, all right? So you want to know what's the reward part, don't I? Don't we all? We want to know what the reward part is. We're taking so much risk. There's so much mental anguish and pain. The reward part's very important because it's a compensation. It's like, well, was this worth it or not? You know, and that's something you never know in the moment. That's why people who are constantly thinking of the future, the little jelly beans who are thinking about the future, sitting on a squeaky chair, resting crocodiles part-time, those are the ones who are going to make it. People who are thinking about today, they'll never make it, right? Because if you're thinking about today, you're thinking about how little we know about the future of the price direction. We know nothing. I don't know, Bitcoin, it's not at 50K, please recover. You know what I mean? There's nothing you can do. And if you go back in time, you can like just cut the chart off. For example, here, this is Bitcoin, right? It's at $400. You had no idea what's coming next. Look at this. They had a red candle somewhere, you know, like say you're down here, $370. You had no idea what was coming next. And it's a regular chart. You know, now look at the regular chart. You had no idea, man. It could be just completely over. What if it went sideways for another 5 years? See, there's a lot of unknowns, but you got to appreciate the unknowns. That's why when there are unknowns, when you feel bad, you actually win. All right, that you actually win. Why? It's because the network effects are still there. People come out, they got loud voices. Something starts pumping, the spear starts pumping. People come back in, they know how to click buy, and it all works like that. So when we're looking at Bitcoin, for example, in the Mt. Gox Ponzi cycle, a lot of people will say it was hard because yes, it was technically difficult. Mt. Gox was 80% of the world Bitcoin volume for Bitcoin and it went to zero, Ponzi. But it wasn't so hard when I tell you that from this bottom, Bitcoin did over 100x. So I just measure from $200 here. From $200 up to 20,000 is 100x. I don't think that was hard at all. But what about now? Bitcoin dropped to 15,500. Now, a lot of people, they think that they know the future. I don't know the future, and I don't pretend to know the future. I'm trying to live in the future. Okay? Me and you can also appreciate the present. Like, subscribe, bell button all. Appreciate every single one of you friends. Press the belly button. Let's go. Let's shock the algorithm. When we're thinking about the future, I'm trying to imagine in my mind what is the reward going to be? And I don't know. But let's look at the odds. For me, now you can understand where I'm coming from. If I've got a 70% chance that we get scammed here, then that's a pretty big weight to give to Bitcoin only hitting around 80,000. Effectively, if that happens, that is a triple top. I know I saw CryptoFace did a poll. He believes 64K was the top forever. 64K would be here. But because they're printing money and there is an upwards drift in crypto, we never go sideways for like forever. There's always like this slight upwards drift over time. Because liquidity, see this difference here? None of these difference doesn't look like much, but it actually is. Because this can be the difference between bankruptcy or making it in the next cycle. Because if you believe 64K was never going to be breached at the top forever, and then we do break above 64K, what's going to happen? Everybody's going to go leverage long. They say, okay, well, all the bears are wrong. All the people who believe that this would never happen are wrong. I'm going to go position myself for leverage long. And what if the top is actually like 80,000 and it comes back down? That's why it's super important to think about. what is the reward going to be? This reward's nothing. I mean, from this low, you know, like 16,000, whatever, a 4 to 5x, that's terrible. That's not good enough for your compensation for all that risk and all that time. Like, how much do you want to have in there to be able to compensate yourself 5 years to do this? This is not nice at all. This is a long time. You know, a lot of people say, oh, what's wrong with the 5x? I'll tell you what the problem is. The problem with the 5x is you're not selling at a 5x, Habib. You're not getting out of 5x because you think it's going to go another 5. Okay? By the time you realize you're wrong, it's back down to 50K. You want to do the real measurement from 16K to 50K? There you go. You got your 3x. You think, oh, what's wrong with the 3x? I'll tell you what's wrong with the 3x. It's now May 2026 and you've been going sideways. Look at this number, friends. Let's zoom in. 1,953 days. Okay? That's what's wrong with it. You got to think about the future, how bad it looks for optics if this happens. And you know, if this happens, hey, we've seen a lot of things happen that you never thought would happen. So it is one of the worst bear markets. It is. If despite people saying, oh, we've got BlackRock now, we've got more institutionalized, we have the good men and women fighting in the political sphere for Bitcoin, you know, RFK owns Bitcoin, even Donald Trump has Ethereum. That's great, right? It is great, but where's the risk? Okay, where's the risk? So if I share with you Pulse Chain, what do you think about? You think about how freaking risky this is, don't you? You think about Richard Hart. You think you have nightmares about him getting arrested. You think the worst of the worst. You think it's literally over. You think it's literally they're going to come down. They're going to storm everybody's doors down. They're going to shut down the Hex CEO's website. They're going to literally blow up the Hex building, right? Pulse Chain HR department is going to be like ceased forever, right? So that's the fears. You see those fears I put in your mind? This has absolutely nothing to do with the level of Bitcoin and Ethereum fees right now. You know what Bitcoin and Ethereum fees are, friends? I'm not even joking. Bitcoin and Ethereum fees, it is from the Bitcoin maxis and the Ethereum maxis who have like thousands of ETH and thousands of Bitcoin for very, very low cost. Their fear is that it'll take a bit too long for the politicians to be bribed sufficiently to get it a positive public opinion. That's their fears. You see how that's a completely different game, right? Ethereum, they all want an ETF eventually. That's the game. I know I'm having fun here when I say this word, but Bitcoin and Ethereum they've already scammed most of retail. And now I'm using that word scam as tongue in cheek, okay? So don't misconstrue or take it out of context. But everybody who can impact the prices of little retail is pretty much already in. They know about Bitcoin and Ethereum. It's all over the fake financial guru, the stock gurus. You see, it's a different game. But, you know, if you want that world of you don't want that risk mentally, well, you're going to enjoy your freaking 2x from here, and then you're going to round trip it. So congratulations. That's the game, man. That's the game. How many times have I told you, firstly, to keep your back straight, and secondly, how many times have I told you markets are all about positioning? People in Bitcoin and Ethereum are already positioned for them to be blue chips of society. So if they're already positioned for it, you're buying at the end of that positioning. Hence why you're not buying Bitcoin at $10. You're buying at $26,000, $30,000, $40,000. People are going to buy at $60,000 with their retirement funds. Okay? So I use this Pulse Chain, Hex, PulseX example. I use that because it's such an easy, clear one. All right. Now, a lot of people have different levels of risk that they are comfortable to take. I'm not saying to take any of these at all, but now you know the game. Buying Doge when Elon didn't know about it was much more profitable than buying Doge after now Elon knows about it. So that's why I add here, friends. Okay, I add here. Please stop believing the BS narratives that you're early to the blue chips. And BS stands for banana, strawberries. That's what they say. Like I have this is from Pantera Capital. Look at this. Our view is that we've seen enough. There's just so long markets can be down. Now, this is great, right? They're talking about the longest period of negative year-on-year returns. Their target's 150K minimum. 150K minimum, just like everybody else. Yeah, you know, I will tell you, in 2021, my target was 180K for Bitcoin back when it was like 3 or 4. We did not hit there. But now I've got to see that we are in the phase of then they fight you with the government. So that's why I still have, hey, 70% odds. I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong, man. I can't wait to be wrong on this one to keep going. But this is how you're going to interpret the game. I know not everybody's cut out for it. This is why It's just much better off. You don't even look at your screen. You don't look at your computer. Don't look at your phone. Keep DCA buying to the stuff you want. And then we just wait until euphoria is here. We don't know what the returns are going to have. If there's any returns, we're not even guaranteed that. And you guys already know, he's Mr. Stranger with 2 R's because 1 R wasn't enough. BlackRock is a red flag rock. Yes, it is. And I say here totally. You cannot trust a lizard man. Shock Frost. Yeah, people need money sometimes. So this is a very common message. So when I hear this, what translates in my mind is, I have a reason to sell. Let me click sell, but I want to be a part of the community. That's what it is basically is. Because most people when they click sell, they just stop checking. But people who do click sell and come in, they're like, oh, you know, there's a reason to sell. Of course there's a reason to sell. But look at this. You got to think about the future. Here I am saying, imagine the pain if Bitcoin crashes back to 30,000 in the year 2025 to 2026. We are here. Just imagine that pain. Who's going to be hurt the most? Not the altcoins. Everybody in Bitcoin and Ethereum, they're going to feel the pain. Everybody else in all the other stuff, most of them won't. Why? Because at least you had a chance. You had a chance to make 10, 20, 30, 40 somewhere down the line. You had a chance. Bitcoin and Ethereum never gave anybody a chance. I know the Bitcoin and Ethereum maxi portfolios, a lot of those people, they are 95% weighted to them. They're never going to allocate out of them. So that's why when the rubber meets the road and we come to this point, it'll all make sense in the future. But I can't show you the future. If I did, there would be no edge fence. That's why there is a gap between what my peanut brain knows and what someone with a normal sized brain knows. That's it. Okay? I don't know what happens in the future. I just know that there's a gap. There is a huge opportunity if they are wrong. All right? And if they're right, guess what? Think about this, friends. Just think about this. If they're right and Bitcoin hits 150K and Ethereum hits 15K, well, we win anyway. Altcoins go up even more. That's if they're right. But if they're wrong, well, they lose. And altcoins at least gave you a chance because the weak and emotional money is in altcoins. You know, last thing to let you know, with the altcoins, because they're so thin, because they're so emotional, when Bitcoin's at like 70 to 80,000, I'm going to tell you now, people are just going to start buying altcoins. Why? Because everybody's going to say, next stop 100K. So effectively what happens is the pricing in of Bitcoin hitting 100 to 150K gets done in the altcoins. Because why would you go buy a Bitcoin? And like, tell me, why the hell would you buy a Bitcoin for $80,000? Think about it. If you have no idea about crypto, you're just coming in, what a hard sell that's going to be to tell someone, hey, buy this $80,000, it's going to $1 million. Oh, man. It's going to be really hard to convince someone. I know they're going to try and there probably will be narratives, but you know exactly what's up, friends. You can see the story forming in your mind. And if me and you can see the story forming, everybody else can. That's why as more and more people start to reveal their cards to us and we start to realize, you know what? You're not as silly as you seem. These people are more switched on than we think. That means the price of euphoria is not up here anymore. It's down here because the market's getting more intelligent and pricing in. Like, subscribe, but no, tell mom and dad we're going to keep using this green tech star because green is where we want the candles to go next. Catch you in the next one.